welcome everyone to another episode of the Mixtape Matinee. We are very excited for this episode. We have our first guest.
First guest in the house.
And we have our really good friend, Foster Miller. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, stop it. Stop.
Foster, why don't you introduce yourself to everybody out there?
Hi, my name is Foster. I'm 6'4", and I have a drinking problem. Just kidding.
So me and Court wanted to have a friend on because we want to start having guests on our show, and we thought Foster would be the perfect person to have on and talk about film because Foster,
I've seen movies.
You see movies.
I'm the first movie I ever watched was Citizen Kane. It's a true story. No.
No. Okay.
No.
I believed you.
I
imagined a little baby Foster.
I think that would be
Rosebud.
It would be a really good one to show kids just to get them to fall asleep. So.
Basically Sesame Street.
Anyway, this week me and Court decided on a film, and then Foster picked one for us to talk about.
Yeah.
For us to discuss. So, Court, what film do we want to start on the film that we chose?
Sure. Yeah. So, Cole had actually seen this film. This is a cool story. Cole went to Quentin Tarantino's theater.
Yep.
Where was this at?
It's in L.A.
LA.
It's called the Vista Theater. So he has one that's called the New Beverly Cinema, but then he just put another one out and kind of fully restored it to what it used to be. Yeah. And so me and my wife went and saw this movie. We had no idea what it was.
You went in totally blind.
It just so happened that this was the movie that won the Oscar for Best International Film.
Yeah.
And this movie is called?
It's called The Zone of Interest.
Yes.
And it came out 2023. And so this film was directed by Jonathan Glazer, and it is quite a film. We actually we all watched this film together
on Sunday.
Yeah,
it's
not
true.
that matters.
In preparation of discussing the film, so that we could all. I mean, we kind of talked a lot about it after we watched the film.
I mean,
so.
We tried to like save it for the podcast.
Yeah,
we were just so motivated
it's
after
one of those
watching
movies
it.
that's like it just.
Well, you kind of just like
going.
after you watch a movie with your friends, you just want to talk about it instantly.
true.
So
Plus, this one was particularly evocative.
Yeah,
I remember you would like after your trip to LA. I remember you were telling me about the movie, and you know it's funny. It's called Zone of Interest because my interest was piqued.
Yeah, this.
Cheesy.
So I mean, maybe just to give like an overview for the listeners, this film takes place during World War II, and it's about it's kind of
It's about a Nazi. Let's just say.
It's a Nazi. family.
It's like a slice of life film where we watch this German family
who live right outside a concentration camp.
Outside of Auschwitz.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's
all about them. It's all just showing their life.
Yeah, I think we should start with that. Though I think the reason it was so effective is because you're watching them live a pretty normal life, and it's the whole time is overshadowed by the sounds of the camp, and you hear like gunshots and people screaming and these horrible things. But then they're having these conversations about like, you know,
mundane things that you talk about during life.
And the biggest thing that happens in their life is their dad, the main guy, the main Nazi, he gets transferred to a different place, and that's the part that sticks with me the most, I think, is because they're talking about how horrible it is. Like, there's a conversation on the dock that the wife has with the husband where she's talking about how unfair it is that, you know, their life would be uprooted and basically everything that they know would just move. And it's, meanwhile, you're still hearing the sounds of the camp and everything. It's very, very effective.
Yeah, like relating it to today, it's like first world problems meet like you're killing a whole group of people.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like them.
Yeah, especially a family that's so actively involved in it.
And there's a moment where they are exchanging like clothing and rings and makeup, and you realize, oh crap, this has come from the prisoners in the camp. You see the woman, the mom, trying on this big fur coat. She finds this lipstick in the pocket, tries it on, and there's this horrific banality, this horrific normalcy of evil, like where everything feels mundane, and yet in the background you hear the pops of gunshots, the screaming of children, and yet this family is living a pretty idyllic life on the edge.
I mean, even
of
in
this horror.
Yeah, I mean, they even talk, like, right after that scene, they talk about how the same lady, the mom, she finds like a diamond or something in a tube of toothpaste, and she's like, they're so sneaky, and it's just so gross.
Yeah,
it's so disgusting.
The thing I think that makes this film work so well is the fact that we know, because it happened in the past because of history. Yeah. I mean, if we were some like alien race that came down and watched this film, we would think like, okay, this is just a movie about a family that has to be uprooted and that has to leave. Like, the only reason why this works so well is because the context of what happened at Auschwitz and the Holocaust. And I think that's the thing that's so interesting is that you don't see any of the violence, you just hear it. And it's over their garden, literally over their garden wall. It's like right next to like what's happening. I think the reason it's so effective is there's like the saturation of World War II movies is pretty crazy because it was like one of the biggest world events ever, obviously. And I think, it's just such a fresh take to not show any of it. And I was expecting it at one point. I mean, the closest part we get was when it shows the first little. There are 3 parts where a single color completely overtakes the screen. And the first part is where the father is presumably in the camp and he's working, and it just shows like a profile view of him, and there's smoke billowing around him, and then the smoke overtakes him, and then the screen completely goes white. And it's the motif of whiteness, the way they use color to convey the
manufactured purity.
Yeah, that was the theme.
Well, we talked about. I didn't even realize this. Well, Foster's the one that brought this up. Like the first time I watched it, I didn't even think about it. But there's 3 times that it fades to colors, and it first goes white, red, and black, which are the colors of the Nazi. It's the color of the Nazi flag. But it's also representing other things as well.
I think
so. It's got like dual meaning. That's why it's cool. Is like you can.
There's a bunch of ways it could be read.
Yeah,
which I think the best movies do that.
Yeah. The other thing about this film that I thought I just loved was that it's a slow burn, like we said before. Like, not a whole lot like happens like plot wise. It's more just like Jonathan Glazer puts the camera in wide shots and he like just lets you like live in their world. And there's not a whole lot of like cutting between scenes. Scenes feel a lot longer, and it just like makes you settle in with this family.
I mean, we should mention the way they shot it, where they just they had the house and they set up a bunch of cameras in the house, and they would rehearse scenes. There would be different people basically doing completely different scenes in different rooms. And they would all be doing scenes independently, and then in post they would cut them together that way. So it is so much like you get a sense that there's so much going on at the same time, and everyone is doing their own individual thing, and there's life in this place where they're. I don't know. It makes you think about how the the Jews, their lives were. The casualness to it. It's like they're able to live the lives that they were actively stealing from other people.
Yeah.
Well, and it made me kind of confront the ways in which we might kind of live in our own echo chambers of normalcy when just beyond our own garden gates, there are horrific things going on. Granted, we might not have the same
Impact as
level of control as a
Nazi.
Nazi, but it does make you kind of confront your own complacence, I think. And the slice of life element of it, where you really do feel like you're just watching a family live a normal, relatively idyllic life, which is only horrific because you have the knowledge of what this camp is and what those sounds are. I think we should also mention that scene when it fades to white is a really good example of this. There is a horrific cacophony of sounds,
the sound
screams, gunshots,
Babies crying.
Which
is horrific.
So
the sound,
it's like sickening.
the gas chambers going off. And what Cole's wife Tabitha uncovered and told us was that they actually used archived sound from World War II in this film. And when I realized that, when Tabitha told us that, my heart just sunk because I realized that
It's so distressing.
in a way I just bore witness to something like and
through the
it
sound.
made it more real, and it is a very powerful use of archived sounds.
I mean, they do. There's so much of that where it's. I think we could also bring that into conversation of like the end scene, the very last scene, the last sequence where the Nazi is walking down and he looks down this super completely shadowed hallway, and he starts like dry heaving, like he's hurling or something.
He's gonna vomit.
You're not even. Yeah, that was probably my favorite scene in the movie because I think it ties the whole thing together, and there's an obscurity to it that I think again it could be read in so many different ways, where he's like looking into the future, and then it cuts into
the Auschwitz Museum.
And it's the cleaners, and they're just cleaning it.
They're cleaning.
And I think it's the way I read it is there is a reverence that I think people have with the history of this horrific event that I think, I don't know, the way that scene followed, what that scene followed was him having he was at that big gala or something.
Yeah, it was a big party.
And he was going to get honored.
Yeah, so what happens actually in the movie, so he gets transferred to this place near Berlin, and he's and then what they do is they have this plan that they're going to have like 700,000 Hungarian Jews come in, and then he actually they tell him he's going to get transferred back to Auschwitz, and so he calls his wife and he's super excited and everything. Anyway, that party is basically like celebrating the final solution, which is what the Nazis came up with to exterminate the Jews. So, yeah, it's funny that there's like him coming from the party and then him going down those dark stairs, looking into the future at like what he's done.
It's it's also like he has this idea of how he will be remembered, and then it shows the reality.
And I remember like after we watched it, I was thinking too. I was like, oh, his like dry heaving is like his body like kind of like all this guilt and shame that he's probably not even like realizing like he's done these horrible things.
I mean,
like a subconscious thing. I'm not saying that that's like the only reason. That's kind of how I read into it a little bit.
Like his body was almost trying to purge something that he consciously wasn't.
Well, it's like
acknowledging.
And
then the last scene of the movie, he like goes down into the dark hallway. Yeah, it's like he's descending into hell.
Yeah, when Foster brought up the Auschwitz Museum, what it shows is like what we assume to be probably in the early hours of the morning, this cleaning crew come in and they're wiping the glass on the windows of this display with all these shoes that have accumulated of all the Jewish people, all the outfits, all the different
all the
And-
photos in that photo hall.
And the
Yeah.
thing that's interesting is the lack of Jewish people depicted in this film. There are the servants who, I mean, I guess properly would be more described as slaves, who are depicted. There's maybe like three or four that you see,
Yeah, you
but they're
see
only on screen like very briefly.
Very little.
And then other than that, you pretty much don't see any Jewish people. You just hear them. And to me, as it was that scene with just the shoes and the clothes and this cleaning crew, it was about a people who had been erased.
Yeah,
And
that's
the-
that's what's like left of them.
Yeah, and that in the movie, they are also kept at your peripheral. They are erased. They are, and
But
it's a very
well-
powerful, evocative thing for me.
I think, and to me, like another part of the movie that I think stood out to me more because of that was the one scene where you hear it's overdub, and there's this old Yiddish man, and he's talking. It prefaces this song. He's talking about the history of it, and he's talking about the meaning and stuff, and it's pretty short. It's a very short sequence in the length of the movie, and then the Jewish servant starts playing the song, but it's not. It's one note at a time playing the melody,
Yeah.
and it shows the lyrics that go with it.
And it's almost like the
So
most emotional,
effective.
for me, it was almost like one of the most emotional parts of the film.
Yeah.
Because the song's basically saying, like, talking about what the Jewish people are going through right now. And that, I think there's a lyric, like, the voices will never die. Like,
Yeah.
And we will
somehow,
see the
like, the
flag of
culture will
freedom.
still,
Well,
like, live on.
And the
Yeah.
way they frame that, the way they show that with just one note being played at a time.
Yeah.
It's so stripped down. It's so simple, and it really is like even.
Yeah.
It's almost like the most faint way you could convey that there is still a spirit that is kept alive in such a dark time.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of research on that girl. So when we were
Yeah.
watching it, I thought she was a Jewish girl. I thought she was one of the servants.
I did too.
Come to find out, that's not the case. So
Okay.
I did some.
So you lied.
I
Just
lied.
say that.
I thought that's what the case was, but I read up that Jonathan Glazer actually. So he did a ton of research. I mean, he studied this family, the Haas family. Just read up on all the archival things that he actually worked with the Auschwitz Museum and was able. That's how he got access
Yeah,
to like all the
that
audio,
makes
like
sense.
like everything that was ever written about that family, because he really wanted to do a deep dive into the family. But the girl that he portrays is actually a girl that was in the Polish resistance army. They were people that were helping the Jews. So she actually wasn't a Jewish girl. She was the one in the film when it shows her in that crazy infrared black and white at night.
Yeah.
Her
Putting
placing the apples. And she finds this little container, and it's music, and it's actually apparently he was a real Jewish man that wrote those music and then the lyrics, and he actually survived the war. He actually went on to live a full life, which is cool.
That's amazing. Wait.
And he actually, so Jonathan Glazer actually dedicated the film
To him.
to the girl, the resistance girl that put food out for the Jewish workers.
Well, let's talk about those scenes. There's these scenes that are cut into the film where she is. Well, first of all, it's shot in infrared.
Yeah.
But instead of being like the infrared green type of, it's
night
it's,
vision.
It almost
it's
looks like a
whited
negative.
out. It's
Yeah.
like a negative.
It looks
yeah.
like a
black
film
and white.
negative.
And it's very interesting the way that is depicted, because it's very, very, very luminous white colors
Well,
and
and it's-
very dark bluish.
The warmth. It's okay if we're talking about the manufactured whiteness that is showed with the Nazi family. I would say that having that in black and white and in infrared, it shows the warmth of human bodies. And so
Yeah.
like when she holds the apple and she puts it down, you can see like the handprint of the warmth as it like slowly
Yeah.
fades away. And I would say that's the true innocence and the true like that's if it's a comparison between manufactured innocence and like true innocence, I don't know. I think
That's interesting.
It's also interesting how I looked up how they shot. So how they shot that infrared was they actually used. They went to the Polish government and they used. It's infrared cameras that they use for like missiles.
Oh really?
So it's like a missile camera that they use, and that's what they would film at night. And then they used AI to basically clean it up because when you shoot with infrared, it's not as clear.
It's not as fidelity.
It's not as sharp. And anyway, it's like something that has never really been done in cinema. Like when you first see that, and I like that. So I guess we should also talk about like the music. The music's really sparse. There's basically like an overture at the beginning and then like a prologue type of thing at the end. But then in the middle of the film, whenever it does show the girl at night, that's when you hear those weird like synth.
They're coming out of nowhere. They
And
really,
it actually scared you,
It
Court.
startled me. I like
It was
jumped out of
pretty
my
funny.
chair.
That was
Because
pretty
I was
funny.
sitting right next to the speaker.
You weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish you had she had a subwoofer.
Yeah.
Because you're telling us about how the first time you watched it in the theater.
When you gotta, I mean, if you guys have the chance to watch it in the theater, you
Yeah.
should. But
The scale
because
is
there's
just-
that one part where when it fades to red, when it's showing the flower, and it's like the juxtaposition of like all the horrible things that are going on, and showing you something beautiful like a flower. There's this crazy low end rumble, and we didn't get it, but like when me and Tabitha watched in the theater, it's like the lowest, loudest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like just it shook my body.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's very effective.
Yeah. So would you recommend this movie to people to watch?
hell no.
I'm just kidding. No, it was good.
I absolutely
I'm
would.
just kidding. This
That
is
Kung Fu Panda 3, on the other hand.
No.
No, of course I would. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a hard watch,
Yeah.
but it's like
Can I bring up something else before
Sure,
we?
sure.
Sorry, it sounded like you were wanting to close.
No. I
but,
couldn't tell where we were at with it.
No, you're okay. One of the things that I loved that was depicted with Rudolf Haas, who is like the dad of the family, is how it shows his like how exact he is and how like he's super controlling, almost like OCD. I think we talked about this, Court. There's that scene where he's on the phone and he's telling like the officers that there's going to be a Nazi soldiers cannot pull the tulips. If they want to have a tulip,
The
they got
lilac tree.
the lilac tree. Is it tulips?
I'm
can't
pretty
remember.
sure if you're
I-
going to remove flowers
I
from the
thought it was
lilac
a-
tree,
I didn't think it was a tree. I thought it was like a.
It was like a
Doesn't matter.
flower, basically.
Doesn't
do not
really
Like,
make the
matter.
tree bleed.
yeah, don't make the tree bleed. And
Yeah.
basically,
Oh yeah,
like
there was like a
he cares more about the plants than like the people
that's
that
what
he's over.
That
yeah.
and like when he was about to get transferred and he spends the night in the stable with the horse and he's like, I know this is going to be hard for you, to the horse.
yeah,
The level of humanity he gives to plants and animals compared to literal people, it's it's so gross. It's disgusting.
Then another aspect of like that character's like personality that I thought when I first watched it and the second time watching it is, did you guys notice like the night scenes? So usually at night he will like go out and think, he'll smoke or whatever, and then when he comes back in, he's very methodical. He goes through the entire house. He shuts every door, turns off the light. He goes through the entire house. It's almost like he has like
A routine or
A
something.
routine. Like that's how exact this guy is. This is how this guy's thinking. Like it's his job to like perform the best and have like the best numbers, quote unquote, which is like a horrible thing to say, but like, and there's even that scene where he brings in the people that are designing the crematorium and showing him how effective it's going to be and how many people they can do. It's like that's like just showing that whole sequence in the film of him like locking the door and securing his house. It like said so much. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that's
I
something.
didn't. That's interesting.
That's something that I thought about.
He's
Like,
got
like-
it's like that grind set mentality.
like he's a soldier. Like
No,
he's in the
it's-
military, obviously. And that's something that just stuck out to me a lot. The other thing too, I already kind of mentioned it with the music, but I love how when the film opens, it's the music. It's the It's almost like like I told you, it's like old movies. It's like an overture. It totally gets you like in
Yeah,
this
it's just-
like headspace.
It's just
to
pitch
watch this
black,
film.
and it's this like super. Well, the music's major, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's almost eerily positive, but it's slowly modulating up. I'm sorry, I'm using music theory terms. I don't know.
Those are good words. I
But
think most
it's
people
like
don't
slowly modulating up.
Yeah.
And so there's like a slight dissonance and it's so
and
unsettling.
it
It's so
keeps
effective.
it keeps going so long, and you're like, wow, how long is this going to go? And it really just gives it like
It's almost like
hypnotizes you.
It's like, you know, like the shepherd's tone.
I don't. What is
Shepherd.
that?
That's like it's a tone. It's a auditory illusion where the tone. It sounds like it's going up forever. Like it starts at low. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you don't know what shepherd's tone is,
Look it up.
You should look it up.
It
But
is
it is
interesting.
kind of like that. It's so.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and
Yeah.
it kind of, I don't know. It makes you think of the eternity that people in the camps must have felt.
Yeah, I just
like.
love that it's black
It's
and it
so-
just
oh.
the music gets you into it, and then the first thing you see is the family at the lake, and the camera stays on them for like ever. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, and it's just
like
a fun lake
it's like,
day.
Like no, like you're just waiting. Like it just makes you like focus on the film, and then it just slowly, and like the entire film, it's like this huge build. Like from the second that the music starts, and then at the end, it's like the opposite. It's like when you see the last shot, it's like it ends, fade to black, and then it brings in that music. And then we were talking about the
music.
The melody is actually different than the beginning, right? You
At
want
the
to explain
beginning-
that, Foster?
Yeah, so at the beginning, the motif is it goes into like an upward motion, right? But the way it's modulating downwards. So it's almost like you're sinking into the plot. You're getting like, I don't know, you just get into the role of it. It's very, very unsettling. And then at the end of it, the motif it's almost chromatic, like it's just rising upwards, and the way it modulates is upwards. And so it slowly crescendos, and it just gets crazier and freaking crazier.
And it's this high-pitched wailing woman's voice.
At the very end of the
Yeah.
movie, it's so unsettling.
Yeah, well, I remember I told you guys when we were leaving the theater, I was like, we were talking, me and Tabitha were talking in the lobby, and then I hear like this crazy, like, because usually after the movie you just kind of leave, but it
it's
just
just
kept
like-
getting like crazier and crazier, and so I actually like had to go back into the theater. I was like, because I wanted to listen to like
Yeah.
how nuts it is, but it was almost like representing like I think we talked about the Furies,
Yeah, that's what it's reminded
Like-
me of.
like it's like the Jewish people. Isn't that what we talked?
Yeah, the
what was the
Furies
thing that
are
you said
like-
after we watched?
Yeah, well,
Everett?
because it's this high-pitched, wailing voice that, and Foster already described it really adequately, but it kind of creates this hellish feeling, and the first image that was brought to my mind was the Furies, which are these goddesses of vengeance, and I felt like that maybe wasn't intentional, but that's what it brought to my mind, and it felt very fitting that be the note that it ends on, was this like hellish,
Yeah.
dissonant.
It paints a picture of
Yeah.
the scale of the events that you're
Yeah.
dealing with, because the sound, with a lot of times with music, I feel like people can, when they're trying to make a large scale, they just layer things up very heavily to a point where you kind of lose track of the scale. But the way that it builds, and the way that there's so many voices that come in and you can't understand any of them, it's like you're lost in this massive crowd of people,
Chaos.
all in like agony.
And it's a very
it just gets-
discomforting sound.
It is.
It is meant to make you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
it does
and
a
I
very
think
good job.
that's what it leaves you with. It leaves you with this painful, discomforting feeling, and it's very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is, like, when I was reading up on the film, is they actually filmed it in Auschwitz. They went to the Haas's family. They were going to try to film, so their house is still there actually, but they were going to try to film in there, but they just couldn't do it because I guess there was the building was so old and broken down. So what they did is they actually built a whole new house. Well, actually, they didn't build a house. They found a house pretty close to the Haas's house, and then they went in, and the production designer basically re-gutted the entire house and like made it look like it was in the 40s, and which is awesome. And I love that Jonathan Glazer like worked with the Auschwitz museum.
I mean, it
and
really
like worked in tandem, and he like did his research. It honestly, like, I think because of that, all the work that he put into it, like the film feels like you are back during that time.
Definitely.
Like this is exactly probably what these Nazi families like were experiencing
The
like at
payoff
the
is-
time.
yeah.
They
The
act
payoff is
so
great.
naturally. You
And-
really do feel like you're just watching people live
And
their lives.
it's like, and I think I was telling you too, Court, like, so Rudolph's wife, Hedwig, she's kind of like, if any of you guys watch The Sopranos, she's kind of like Carmela. She's kind of so complacent with like all these evils because she gets all these things like the fur coat. She gets this nice big house. And then her mom comes in the film. And this is another character I thought was so interesting. The grandma, sees all these wonderful things that her daughter has got. And so she's so proud. I'm so proud of you. You've done so well for yourself.
Moving up in the
Like,
world.
look at these, look at what these Jews have given you and all of these things. And then later at night, she sees like the flame
fire.
and the smoke of the crematorium, and she realizes like how effed up everything is.
Well,
and so
and
she leaves. She gets out of there.
That's
So-
when the camera, the screen fades completely to red, and so it goes from the innocence at the beginning. It's this there's a like we said, manufactured innocence that they kind of have. You, in order to do such heinous acts, I think you kind of have to. They would have to live with this idea that they're right and that they're innocent and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And with the red overtaking the screen, it's like a realization of the horrors that they have. And then at the end, when it fades to black, it's the, I don't know.
Damnation.
The-
or like,
yeah.
I think
it's
it's
the-
the loss, the death.
Yeah.
The,
Yeah. But the thing is
The
that the
rot,
grandma
the
is like
grief.
the only one that actually realizes, maybe Rudolph a little bit to some extent when he looks down the hallway, but like the grandma's like the only one that really like sees how like messed up everything is.
I don't even think Rudolph recognizes.
He probably didn't, but like anyway, it shows him like trying to, he's convulsing a little bit, but
It's almost
Using
like
this-
a subconscious reaction.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's so many. I don't know. Do you guys have any other thoughts? I mean, this movie, there's so much to it.
I mean,
you
I
know?
would just say,
Go watch it.
if any
experience
of
it
this
yourself.
is interesting, you should definitely
Yeah.
watch it.
And I thought it was cool. Like the movie won Best Picture for International Film, and then it also won the Oscar for Best Sound Design, which I think it deserves.
Oh,
For sure.
I mean,
did you guys realize that it won the Oscar?
No,
for that?
I didn't know that. Especially when you realize how many of the sounds are archived sounds.
Yeah, and it's
I
like
mean,
actual.
I
like-
mean, the fidelity too. Like,
Yeah.
they're so clean that
Yeah.
you wouldn't think, which is even more disconcerting because it makes
Yeah.
you realize how not.
the picture
distant
just
it
looks
was.
amazing. I just love watching the film. Like it's just like looking at like every shot is like a painting. Like you want to talk about that specific shot with like the laundry and the clothesline? Like I remember that. Remember that shot?
The first shot that really stuck out to me is I was really impressed because I was like knowing the way that they lined up the shots where they just had cameras hidden. I was really impressed with the way that some of the shots lined up. You would think most of them would just be kind of flat or whatever.
Yeah.
But there was this one shot, especially at the beginning, or that was at the beginning, that was especially, I felt, I don't know, I don't want to say, if I want to say dynamic, but basically over the family's wall, you can see the tops of the buildings of the concentration camps. And there is like a clothesline that perfectly covers. There's these like doilies and these like white sheets that perfectly cover the frame, and they hang just above the top of the frame, and so they're blocking out the buildings, like the top of the buildings, and so it is again with the whiteness. It is like they're using what they. It's almost like. Sorry, I'm saying a lot. I feel like
No,
It's
don't worry.
okay.
but it's like I don't know. It's the suspension of disbelief that I think they have in the fact that they believe that they're doing the right thing, which is so awful.
One more thing, like relating to sound design in the film that I loved was the sound of the crematorium. It's like always going. There's like this low hum that's always there. Even when you're like inside the house, you can still kind of hear it, which I like. Like it just represents that this horrible thing is always going on. Like it never stops. And it's always there. And even like the family just is so desensitized to it and is just they're just used to it.
It's like when you live next to the highway and you just stop noticing the sounds of the highway. That's exactly what it is. I mean,
but I like how it relates to the whole fact that they are okay with this like mass killing of this group of people.
I wouldn't say I like that, but I know what you. I know.
I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying it's like so. It's cool that they have that, and that like sound design was so important to them. Well. Like we're gonna keep this in here all the time because we're following this family, and if this really was going on, you would hear that noise the whole time.
Yeah.
So, would you guys recommend this movie?
Yes, I would recommend this movie.
Jinx.
How many stars out of 5?
I gave it a 5 out of 5.
I can do that at the same time too.
That's what I gave it.
5 out of 5?
I would give it a. I didn't think about that. Probably, a pretty high score. 4 out of 5. 5 out of 5.
I'd probably go 4.8.
This movie's awesome. So
really
go watch it.
It's effective.
Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think about the movie. Okay, Foster, let's go into the next film. So
all right.
Tell us about your film that you picked for this podcast.
Okay, I'll start with the way I watched it. Like the
Actually, can you talk about like how you found the film?
That's what I was gonna.
I forgot how you found it.
So
okay. So let's set it up. Okay. Okay.
So
we watched.
Basically,
this is what we did. We watched Zona Idris. Okay.
That's
and then I was like, what am I going to compare with this?
That's our Quentin Tarantino. Okay. So basically, what happened was.
What is happening right now?
It was.
No, I'm just kidding. No. Go ahead.
All right. Whatever. So basically, Cole asked me to be on the podcast, and he was like, pick a movie, preferably something on streaming. And I was like, whatever, I guess I'll be thinking about it. And then on Saturday, I think, it was like 12 at night or something, and I was scrolling through YouTube like I do when I'm not doing stuff I'm supposed to. And I got recommended this YouTube video that was 2 hours and 45 minutes long, and it was this video essay, and it was some stupid clickbait title that was like the best movie you've never seen before or something like that. And I was like, okay, cheesy, but I mean, I was a little bit. I was like, man, this is a long video essay. How long is the movie? And I look up the movie, and it's 1 hour and 28 minutes long. And I was like, how can there be this much to say about a movie so short? And so I was intrigued. So I was like, I'll just watch the movie. And I watched it completely on a whim, knowing nothing about it. And it was one of those movies where I watch it and I do not understand all of it at first, but I come to general conclusions, and I think I know mainly what it's about. But there are some things I don't understand that just sit with you, and you don't know what they mean, but they make you feel a certain way. And those are my favorite kind of movies. Like movies that can make you feel before you completely even understand. It's like when I was talking to Cole about this in the car, and it's like when you have a dream and you have no idea what it's about, and it's a super weird dream, but you know the way you felt in the dream. Those are the kind of movies I absolutely love. That is a tone that I think is it's so particular, and it affects me in so much of a deeper way. And I feel like my appreciation for the movie can be so heightened because I love it. It's so great. It's delicious. I could eat it up, and I think I will. So yeah, that's how I watched the movie for the first time. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to start with hearing your guys' takes on it, because I like it a lot.
Well,
but I want to start with that.
Should we kind of say what the movie is about? And it's also interesting where it actually was part of this British
TV series.
It was a
TV series about
where they would release plays, basically.
It was plays made
Screenplays.
for TV.
Yeah.
I don't even think this movie was ever a play originally. I think
No, right.
It was a made for TV play. And when I was telling Cole about it, I will say I did try and preface that.
Foster did try to preface it, I just like totally forgot that they said that.
I said the dialogue is very verbose and it'll go on these long tangents, but if you think about the audience that it was made for,
i.e.
think it makes
British
sense.
people.
Yeah. Well, there's people that like plays.
Yeah.
And so it's like it is a challenging movie, I will say. There are some parts I watched it again last night because I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was very intrigued. And I have some theories about pretty much every part that I wasn't.
Okay, Foster,
shown.
can you just give us like a brief overview of the story of Penda's Fan?
Oh, my country. I say over and over, I am one of your sons. It is true. I am. I am. Yet how shall I show my love?
Yes. Yes.
Can you like when did it come out? Who directed it?
Actually, whoa, hold on. I'm getting something. I think I'm remembering. I'm remembering the director. I'm seeing Alan. What was it first? Alan Clark, and the year was 1974.
Good.
So I don't even know where that came from, guys. Sorry, I think I peed my pants a little.
I wish we had a camera.
Yeah. You should see what I'm doing. My pants are soaked right now. I swear, it looks like the bottom
kind of
half of a
horrifying.
water slide. It's nuts. But yeah, so basically, the movie. I'll talk about what it's about. So basically, it starts with this really. Can I cuss on this? No, I'm not gonna swear.
Oh, you can. I just put it that it's explicit. It's fine.
Oh, I'll monitor a little bit.
Fine.
This really damn obnoxious, like 17-year-old kid, right? And he's like this 17-year-old kid who grew up in a conservative England, right? And he goes to a military school. And so basically he is a product of the environment that he has been brought up in. His ideology, he's very firm in his ideology. And it talks about it in the movie where I don't remember the exact word. It starts with an A.
Aryan.
No, it starts with an M.
He does reference.
Does he really?
He says, I believe
No, yeah.
in the Aryan Christian
And then at the
English
end he talks
family.
about
Right.
he's not of pure blood or something.
Yeah, he changes. Yeah.
He's basically like this super unlikable alt-right dude. He's got he sees the world in black and white. And he actually, it's mentioned that it's like it's an act of heresy or something, like the way he views the world or something. Anyways, that was in passing. But yeah, basically the movie is him deconstructing his own ideology and coming to terms with with many things, with the way that he's coming to terms with the fact that the way he thought he viewed the world is not the way the world actually works, and he comes to terms with his own sexuality, which, can I just say, the subject matter and the way it's dealt with is very mature and way, I felt ahead of its time for a movie made in 1974
For TV.
for the BBC.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with that.
Yeah. BBC's has a long history of being conservative
Right.
values.
Yeah, and even the talks of like, so I'll say this: in researching the movie, the director and the writer wanted to talk about. They said they wanted to make a movie that was born out of the environment of that it takes place in, which is Penda's Fen. That's the town that they live in, and the way what that looks like is it goes into depth about its like pagan history and the whitewash nature of it, and the idea that it is actually interesting. It talks about like birthrights and stuff and who really has a birthright to the land, but it turns out, anyways, yeah, I don't know, that paired with it does that in so many ways that I think because like he's adopted, right?
Which
Yeah,
he
you
doesn't
find
know.
that out
He doesn't
later.
know
First
until
2/3 of the movie.
Yeah, you find that out later.
That I think that's like the third act is when that's
He
revealed to him.
finds out.
I detailed the after last night when I watched it. I kind of roughly wrote through what I remembered about each act and kind of detailed what I thought the structure was like. And so the first part is establishing him as a character. He's very set in his ways. He's very naive, and very
And he's super
rigid.
annoying.
really
Very rigid.
Like
I would say it almost seems like he suffers from scrupulosity. Like he has this obsession with being righteous, with being like he loves this piece of music,
Yeah.
which is all about what will happen to my soul, and it's about the judgment of God. And I feel like at the beginning half, he's like this puritanical, Protestant, rigid guy.
Well, even then, it's like when I detailed the plot, there was that part where it establishes his character, and then the second act where the cracks start to form, where it's mostly through dream sequences where he's realizing these things about himself. And then the third act is kind of mending those cracks and him rebuilding his worldview and him coming to understand things about himself and things about the world that he lives in. And the thing is, I think one of the reasons I resonated with this movie so much is because, I mean, as a queer person myself, that is something that, especially as a queer person who's grown up in a very conservative kind of place, a place that's very hostile to things about myself I have no control over. There's something about your subconscious that tends to overcompensate for that. And so I think you can kind of see that in the beginning. Like when the milkman drops off the milk and he picks it up and the milkman makes fun of how he's like wearing his like military uniform or something.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, it's Britain's last hope." And then
fun of him,
and then the boy, he turns to his mom and he goes, or his name's Stephen.
Yeah.
Stephen turns to his mom and he goes like, I wish Alan liked me. He could be so cutting. He says something like that. And then he leaves for school, and then his mom and his dad go, they have like this, they say some stuff where I'm like, I think they know he's gay.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah.
And it's like he doesn't even realize
But he
because it's
doesn't
so
realize it.
suppressed.
Yeah.
Which I was like, that was executed so well.
Yeah, you can tell the parents are having this little bit of crisis of, first of all, our child is in denial about being gay.
Yes.
Second of all, we still haven't told him that he's adopted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of this movie it's a coming of age movie of sorts, and it's kind of, I think, well, and I don't mean to cut you off. Did I?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Please.
No, it's a coming of age movie, and I
Yeah.
liked how you said it has those three different parts. I think, you have the presentation of the initial identity,
The
which is
cracks
like in
forming.
denial.
Yeah.
Then you have the deconstruction of that identity.
Where he starts to notice these things about
and
himself.
then you have reconstruction of a new identity.
Yeah.
And with the truth being implemented in it. At the beginning, you described him, I think, well as like this alt-right kind of like very hard to empathize with character because of his rigidity.
He's like almost
and
like
his,
self-righteous. Like,
and pretentious. Yeah.
He even says, I mean, there's a thing where he, to worldviews that are even slightly out of his own, they go to that town board meeting and there's the writer talking, and he says something like, there's a reason why they can't have children. God picks the people he gives children to very deliberately. And I'm like, damn. This guy's
Well, didn't they also say that he thought like that poet, the writer, was like gay too, and that's why they can't? have kids?
He did.
I
You
didn't-
didn't pick
I
up on
missed
that?
that.
Yeah, no, he said,
Yeah.
I think that he's unnatural.
He must
Yeah.
be weird and
He must be gay.
Which he
is
was
basically
using
what he
as
says.
his
Yeah.
But he says that
euphemism for gay.
He says that
yeah.
before he
projection,
realizes
that
that
is.
he's gay,
And when he realizes he's gay, he goes,
and then he wants
yes,
to.
yes. I
then-
do remember that. And then it's like it shows the I don't know, Greek on it shows the text.
yes,
Yeah.
that we're
that says
talking about.
discover yourself.
Yeah,
Discover
I
yourself,
love that.
yeah.
And he was like unworthy.
But then,
Yeah.
but then
Very
he
good.
like
Very
has
well
like
done.
he wants to go talk to the poet, and he comes up with this excuse to like go find this book that he borrowed from his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember that? There's almost like an excuse to go like talk to him and like scope him out, and then he's like talking
Yeah.
to the wife and like, you guys are so
Yeah.
cool, you guys should adopt. Like
Yes.
I'm adopted. Like after
Yeah, no, he
like,
goes to talk to the.
I think that's in the third act of that.
Yeah, it
happens,
is.
but-
He goes to talk to the. Well, the way I viewed that part was reparations, because
Yeah.
what he said about the wife and about the poet or the writer was so heinous
Yeah.
that I think there's a guilt there.
He misread them. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and it's when he's realizing that his worldview has changed.
Yeah.
And when he's suddenly going, oh,
Yes.
he says, you guys should have kids because you're interesting people.
Yeah.
And you and
I think
we
you'd be
want
great
more
parents,
interesting people in the world. And and I think that a lot of this movie has to deal with the identities that we suppress and what it means to leave them suppressed, and then what it means when they finally come out.
Yeah.
And it has to do both with him on an individual level, but also on a societal level. England with this, it presents
Yeah.
Christianity as this identity that has been forced upon it.
Or almost like
Yeah.
I would even say the way that he views it is Christianity is reclaiming this place, which in the reality of the history of
Right.
it was pagan initially.
Right.
And there's a quote that the father has where he says something about how when a church goes to war with another church, they have to paint the other church's gods as
the devil.
I was like, that was really
Yeah.
interesting. And especially coming from like I don't know, he wasn't a priest too, but he was a man of the cloth.
But but his dad is like also like has these like he's a little out there on the fringes. Like his
Yeah.
view isn't really in accordance with the church. He's
Yeah,
kinda,
he does
he's
say
like-
something where he's like, I've offended many priests in my time.
And
or
then I
something.
think I think Stephen finds a book or something that says something about like what his dad's written that he may have some doubts about.
Well,
Well, I don't
basically,
even
he
think-
doesn't believe in the resurrected Christ,
Yeah.
for one thing.
Well, the way I read it more was
Yeah.
it was he doesn't believe in it wasn't even that he doesn't believe in the Christ. It's like he doesn't believe in this specific image of the Christ that is sold to the people.
Right. Right.
It's a controlling Christ that it feels like the church uses as
Yeah.
a tool to.
And they bring up the specific heresy called Manichaeanism, which sees the world
That was the
as
one I was-
this cosmic duality between
Yes,
good,
good
and
and
evil,
evil.
but where evil and good are equivalent forces. They're not, one isn't necessarily triumphing over the other. There's a risk that evil could win the day, kind of thing. And the father talks about Christ being a singular person of light in this heresy, and how there needs to be another son of light to basically save the world. And there's a part where it seems like Stephen is trying to take that on.
Yeah.
Because there's the mother. It's a very surreal movie in some ways, and so it's going to be hard to kind
Well,
of
especially
explain.
the parts that talk through dream
Yeah.
which I do want to get into. I want to talk.
Yeah.
I want to talk about my own interpretations of
Yeah.
each of those. But
Well, there's this part where, and it's towards the end, where the mother and father of England, as Stephen has designated
Yep.
them, are confronting him and saying, "You have to be basically our,
yeah, and they're like,
You have to be
"He's
this
the-"
certain way. You have to
Yeah.
believe in these certain things.
and you're our chosen one, essentially."
I love the way that
he
they brought
rejects it.
the mother and father
Yeah.
in England
Yeah.
back, like through each dream sequence. Like there was
Yeah.
the first one I noticed was it was the dream sequence where he falls off the bike and then he gets up and he walks, and the street sign.
Oh, yeah.
It has the original pagan spelling of
Yeah.
Penda's Fen. Penda's Ven, I think, is what it was. I don't
spelled
remember.
with a V,
With a V
but
instead of an
he
F.
spells it with an F, and then
Right.
he's like, "It's spelled
Which is-
with a V."
Yes.
and he's
Right.
like,
It's incorrect.
yeah, he's
Yeah,
being
but
a-
it's the reason it's a much older spelling,
Right.
So it's the original pagan history of it, and so then he goes and he goes down to this weird, almost like a maze thing. There's like these shrubs, and it's very reminiscent of like Midsummer. You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, you've seen Midsummer?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Well,
Sorry.
it was one of those sequences where a lot of people that I've seen talk about this movie, they call it folk horror, which I don't know if I agree with fully. I don't know if I
Pagan
would fully
horror.
call it a horror movie, but I would say there's scenes where I do see the folk horror influence.
Yeah.
Like that scene in particular, there's the guy chopping off the hands.
Yeah.
And the first person he chops off the hands of is like a little girl, and she's like smiling. It's so unsettling.
It's very weird. Yeah.
I think I saw that as like his, I don't know, it was like the death of his innocence, maybe, that the world that he grew up in was going to force upon him. And especially after that, he sees the milkman and he looks under the tire of the milkman.
Oh, there's a little bird.
And there's a little bird,
yeah,
and
that's right.
he's saying, "Oh, there's a
Yeah.
cute little bird or whatever." And then the milkman's like, "What are you doing, Stephen? Spit it out. I haven't got all day." And then he drives away and crushes the bird. I saw that as him viewing the milkman killing his own innocence because he's realizing his own connection that he feels to the milkman.
Interesting. Well, and also it's interesting that in that dream sequence that is, pagan horror or whatever, it's not the pagan leadership
Yes.
that is depicted.
It's the Christian
couple
yes.
who are the mother and father of England in the movie, who are the ones asking for this sacrifice.
Yes. I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
Because the first time I saw it too, I was like, it's interesting. It's like the pagan.
But I think it's actually...
It's a little bit of a, I think it's meant to mislead you. I think that's
Yeah.
deliberate.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I mean, you finish your thought because I just wanted to ask. I know Cole was not so much a fan about it, so I did want to talk about what he didn't like about
Okay,
it, so we
yeah.
could talk more about that. Because I do feel like we're steamrolling.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So
You want me to talk
what did you
Okay.
not like about it?
Okay, so I mean, there's aspects of the film that I really did like, and I thought like the beginning of the film, I was like, okay, like kind of getting into it, like okay, this kid is like he's going through existential crisis, and like I honestly thought that the movie was gonna go into a more, I thought it was gonna go into like a horror thing.
I thought
because
okay, here's
because the shot that got me really excited was that
the hand on the barbed wire.
the hand, and then it's like it's all like burnt and
What-
crap, and then there's like that kid,
The kid that I was gonna
that
say-
gets burnt too, and I'm like, but then they leave that and then they don't go back to that. I'm like,
Well,
that seems really interesting.
And when I watched
it
it, the
seemed
second
exciting.
time, I was thinking about what Cole would be thinking.
Yeah,
what,
and I was
the,
like,
the things
oh.
Cole would want to see, and that was the kind of stuff that
Yeah.
for me, as someone who's gone through a similar experience as the kid,
As being burned.
stuck out
No, I'm just
less,
kidding.
and it felt more as like set building for the actual environment around it. I think
Anyway,
that was the point of it.
I think the things I didn't like about it, I just felt like, and I forgot that this was a play when we first watched it. I maybe if I would have known that, maybe.
you do
Anyway.
kind of have to,
But
yeah.
the dialogue
that in
is
mind.
so dense, and then it just like takes like, so the dream sequences are interesting, but then it like goes into like these long like discussions between like two different characters like talking about these like philosophical ideas, and it's just like, oh my gosh, like
Isn't
okay,
that
we
kind of what we're
like
doing
we
right now?
it's kind of like okay, we get it. So I don't know. I just felt like there was just things that I was like, okay, like it just felt there's some points where it felt boring,
Huh.
and I was just like, okay, I get what you're trying to say, like, and it's like, okay, there is a plot, but then I'm like, it's not. I don't know. It just was. I don't think I'm gonna rewatch
Well,
this
I
movie.
did see your
It just
review
felt
on
boring.
Letterboxd,
It
and you
just
said there
felt
was no
boring.
plot, and I couldn't really disagree more with that.
No, I mean, there's a plot, but I don't feel like it. It didn't feel like a strong plot, I guess. So, but anyway,
I feel like the
so-
kind of okay. Here's the way I kind of view it. The scale that this is presented on in comparison to the other movie that we watched is much more small and personal, and it deals with very big issues, but it's an individual person's reckoning with those rather than
a whole
a
societal,
whole
or family.
societal examination of
because
that.
like
It's more of a character
watched,
study.
I've watched films that are slow burns, and I really like them. But this, I don't know why this was different. Like this is a slow burn
That's
kind
what
of
I
movie,
tried to-
but like,
I think that
but it's just like I don't know what it is,
this is...
and
I'm in the middle.
yeah,
Okay, so...
That's what I've heard.
Yes, there are things that I quite liked about it,
Uh-huh.
and you brought a very good point where it evokes certain feelings, and you have to go and reassess, like, why am I feeling that way, and what is this trying to say, and I thought it was thought provoking, and I liked how it showed the transition from the beginning, his naive rigidity, and his insistence on this purity,
Yeah.
to this person who instead sees the world now for at least more of what it is, and himself for more of what he is, and is no longer attached to this false sense of purity. I thought that was really interesting. I thought his dealing with his sexuality was interesting. I thought the dealing with the history of England and Christianity
And paganism.
juxtaposed with that was really interesting as well.
Well, and I thought that was paired with the adoption aspect as well.
With the adoption,
I
because
thought that was a
he
very
essentially
interesting way to frame that.
he essentially through the film you realize is a liminal being.
Yeah.
He's adopted. He's a person of two worlds, nationally speaking, because he's Welsh and English. He refers to himself in the climax of the film as a mixed person. I am both clay and fire, or mud and flame. Mud and flame. I am foreign, and he doesn't say this,
mix
but
of sex.
he's foreign and he is English. He is woman and man. And I thought that was very thought-provoking and interesting. And I think as somebody who has felt like a person who is liminal or at times marginal, it was something I could relate to.
Yeah.
This is what I struggled with.
Yeah.
I felt like
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm mid.
you're not. You're not.
Well, no, I think
I'm
it's
about
just
to
like,
say some
It's like
criticism.
you guys have like I see you guys have your own personal like
that's the
experiences that you
thing.
can relate to the character, but I guess
Yeah.
maybe it's because I don't have any experiences to
Well,
relate to.
well,
Steve
let me
and-
finish. Let me finish. So the part of it that I am willing to criticize is the dialogue was too dense. It was too self-aware of its intelligence, and at times it felt, because of that, it felt a little pretentious. And I think part of that is he is a pretentious character, and he is this kind of self-righteous, self-aggrandizing character in a way at the beginning. And unfortunately, the way that gets portrayed through the script, it makes you feel like the movie itself kind of is this
the way
what's a PG word that I can use?
aggrandizing.
Yeah.
A movie that is a little too aware of its own brilliance in a way, and a little pretentious. Now, did I still like it?
Yeah.
Yes.
What I think, I was thinking about that. I think it is. I don't know, because the way it's structured at the very beginning, I think he as a character is more pretentious himself.
Yes.
And his entire worldview gets
Shattered.
And so when the entire way that you view the world is shattered, you need to have in order to build a deeper foundation, or in order to live with yourself, you need to rebuild a foundation, to view like the way the world works.
Yeah.
And the way he does that is through conversation. Like he has the conversation with the composer that he really likes. And my favorite part about the conversation that he has with the composer is that the composer never mentions once Christianity or his religion or any of that. He just talks about like it's presumed that he's like a ghost, right?
Right.
And so he mentions that the reason he's back is because he loves life so much, and you can get that through the stories that he's telling and stuff. And so what it is it's like when you're having a conversation with an older person, when you're younger and you have less of a worldview, and you have a conversation with an older person who has a more defined worldview, and they're able to relay some information in a way that's like, it's not like they're deliberately trying to relay information, it's just through their own experience. And so the conversation that he has with the pastor, or not the pastor, with the composer, where he's talking about, the composer's talking about his love for life, not just religion, life. And then the conversation he has with the poet's wife, and he's talking about how, I don't know, it's the two that really stuck out to me were the conversation he had with the composer and the conversation he had with his father.
Yeah.
Especially the one with his father, and that is the most verbose one, I will say. But I think,
But at least they're walking, and at least the camera's tracking with them.
the reason. So wait, which one did you think was more boring? The one with the composer?
Dude, the one with the composer, I was like, when
love
is
that.
this gonna be over?
But that's the one that reminded me of of Stalker or like a Tchaikovsky
I know, but
movie.
at least like that shot, they just have that one shot just on them like forever.
because it's a
It's like
play.
doesn't. I know, but I've like, man, I would have loved to have switched to like their faces.
But that's the
like
that's
editing
the
of
point.
it.
It's talking like I don't know, especially on rewatch, that's the scene that honestly.
I mean, that was
affected
the
me
one-
more.
That's so
that was-
interesting.
I mean,
for me,
Cor-
the conversation that affected me more was the one with the father.
Yeah.
When he's saying, "But you're a Christian.
Yeah.
You're a believer."
I thought that
and
one
the
was
father
more-
says, "I believe in the truth."
Yes.
And
And I was like,
I
"Wow, this
Yeah,
is a really."
I liked that conversation way
Yeah.
more than the.
But the
composer.
conversation with
the
the
composer
composer
of it, Court, when we were watching it, I was like, when is this scene gonna end?
The conversation
It
with
was
the
just, like, so-
composer, I think, was that was the very start of the third act, and that
Yeah.
was when the reparations that's when they first begin.
Yeah.
And so I think that was why he was the perfect person to talk to Stephen about this, was because he is someone that he views in a very specific way.
and
He's
he
someone who's-
idolizes him.
Yeah, he
as you
projects
find that out at
he
the
projects
beginning.
his own worldview onto him.
Exactly.
And so, because of that, it's important that he goes on. The composer goes on this long monologue where he first talks about how he came up with, one of the motifs for his music, and it was the whimpering of a dog, and it was just this inconsequential thing. And then he brings up like this really sad story where he cried and his birthday was ruined because someone was trying to sing for him, but it reminded him of his wife. And then he goes on talking about like this other thing where he gets his stomach taken out, and I'm just like, it's so reminiscent of like when you listen to when an old person just starts talking about
Rambling.
their life.
Yeah.
It's not. I love
never-
that.
Oh,
I
okay.
love it when I like when my grandparents, they go on these long stories, almost unprompted, and they're telling so much about their life. It's like there's a history to it that I love that. And then like the way it ends, it just holds on that shot, and I think it's so effective. And then the way it ends, where this is the part that really stuck out to me at the end of it, that made that whole sequence worth it for me. The composer, he says, he's come back to appreciate, the rivers and the streams and like all this life, like these things that are so much important to him. And he's just staring off forward, and he's like hearkening to life, and he's like, oh, life, it's so beautiful, this life, or something like that. And he's just staring at this brick wall, and then the Stephen looks at the wall, and then he looks back, and the composer's gone. And the way I read that is, especially when your worldview initially is built on this idea of something so grand, to have that completely ripped out from under you, I think the most beautiful way to spin that is to realize that it's not even the bigger things that are more effective. It is the most inconsequential and the littlest things. It's the minutia. It's just this wall that has so much weathering on it. That's just so beautiful to me. Or it's like the beauty in the whimpering of a dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It just affected me so heavily.
See, I interpreted that scene a little differently. I saw it as he has this idealized figure in his head who is the composer of this piece, which he considers to be the most important piece of music in history.
But he's just a regular guy.
And then he's confronted with him. He's not just a regular guy. He's a frail old man who is a regular man who goes on to explain essentially his own mortality, his own pains, his own mundane,
his humanity.
And I think that's the moment where he's going, where I think there's two idealized figures that he holds up in his head that basically serve as his superego, and that's this composer and his father. And in both conversations, he discovers their humanity and the fact that they are not these pure visions that he has of them, and instead, and I think it changes how he sees himself as well.
Yeah.
And that's when he goes, I am also human. I am also impure.
Well, and I think that's why the conversation with the poet's wife is also important. It's because someone who he saw as lesser, he also sees the humanity in her as well. And so he gets both sides of it, and he sees it kind of equalizes everyone in his mind, I think.
I want to look up the quote from the...
some of these quotes are so... I want to...
Yeah.
There's some that I was like, I want to memorize these.
Well, I want to
like,
look
they're
at...
so good.
There's this moment where the mother and father of England have come to Stephen, are basically saying, you're going to be our savior, essentially.
Yep.
He says, "No, I'm not.
It's like,
I'm." Yeah, that's when he's.
I'm not pure.
Yeah,
like,
that's what he says. Basically,
I'm not what you guys want.
Yeah,
Yes.
and he starts running away. They burn an image of him.
oh my gosh, so far.
And
that idea is so
he
creative.
starts to burn.
Yes.
And then
That's
rather
so
than
awesome.
crying out for Jesus, he cries out for Penda.
Which is reminiscent of the story that the father was telling about
Joan of Arc.
Yes. Well, of Joan of Arc, I thought it was there was a pagan lady. It was
Joan of Arc.
Was it Joan of Arc?
Who was Christian, but in some,
and she cries out to Jesus,
right.
and then he presents that with the idea that do we think it's like the plaster Jesus that we have in our church, or is it the Son of Man who is stapled to a tree? And also,
Yeah.
I also want to talk about the discordance with music. He
Yeah.
holds on that one chord.
When he's playing the organ
Oh
in the
my
church.
gosh, that affected me so heavily. I love that.
And the quote
I thought that weird devil thing was going to show up during that part, but then it didn't.
I
kinda
thought so
glad
too.
It wasn't. I thought it was just. I like that it was just in the one part.
But the quote that I wanted to look up actually is what. So he cries out to Penda, and suddenly there's like a puff of smoke and spark, and the
The
mother and father of
of
England disappear,
England,
and Penda is sitting on a throne.
they almost like turn into it. Yeah.
And it's almost like a kung fu.
We were laughing
type-
about
Yeah.
it because
type
there's like
feeling.
a fast zoom.
But I
and the
love that.
smoke comes.
I'm a fan of that campiness.
And
too.
you-
very
So that's-
campy.
that
You
also
stepped out of the room, I
appeals to
think,
me.
during this part, but Penda places his hand on Stephen's head,
And it's
that's
the hand from the beginning,
yeah, and that's the quote that I
Oh, the
want.
the scarred hand.
Oh, is that what it is?
the thing that got me excited.
I didn't-
I think you would have liked it.
I didn't know it was the
It
scarred
was.
hand. Well,
Oh,
this is
yeah?
what he
Okay.
says.
The beat up scarred.
He
hand?
says, "Be secret, child, be strange, dark, true, impure, and dissonant.
Just be human.
Cherish our flame."
Gosh. I love that so much. That just resonates with me so
Yeah.
heavily.
So, yeah, there's much to love about this made-for-TV play, and I
Wonder how long it took the guy that wrote it to write it. Like,
Yeah.
Was it like a quick thing, or do you know anything about that?
I
Foster?
have no idea, honestly. I do know it is funny because for me it feels really, and maybe this is where I think maybe there's stuff that I interpreted in my own lens that isn't really there. But I remember he was saying when he was first writing it, there was so much he wasn't sure that he knew what it was about.
Yeah.
But it feels more fleshed out, and it feels like one of those things where as you make a movie, you do kind of figure out where it goes. Where as a play, I don't know if he would have been able to get to the same conclusion.
I definitely think this movie was heavily influenced by the work of the psychoanalyst Carl Jung, both with like mythological archetypes and also with the idea of confronting one's shadow. I think that if you want to, you could totally do an analysis of the film just from that standpoint. It'd be very fascinating.
There's so many different ways you could look at it.
He was very obsessed with analyzing dreams and the meaning of
the
dreams
subconscious.
and what different symbols mean within dreams.
Yes.
And very much about when you keep your shadow self, when you deny your shadow and you try to push it into the peripheral of your mind
The
and
way
keep it
it's
in the
still-
subconscious rather than integrating with your shadow, then it leads to unhealthy things. It
Yes.
leads to sorrow and pain.
Well, and even
but if you integrate with
overcompensation.
yeah,
Yeah.
and overcompensation, exactly. But if you integrate with it, then that is when you become
at peace and
yeah, and acknowledging your own humanity, your own dissonance,
your own. Oh,
Yeah.
dissonance is a great
Yeah.
word, especially for the motif they had, where that's when he meets with God every
Yeah.
time. The meeting, I love the way he described that. With the meeting of God is a great dissonance, and then it shows I don't remember what it is in classical music, but you know the notation where it's like
Yeah, basically you
curve
can
above and-
hold that
you
note
hold the
for
note
as
as long-
long
Oh,
as
yeah.
I love that so
Yeah.
much.
Well, at the beginning of the
It's
movie,
so awesome.
the beginning of the movie, that symphony that's playing, it plays out and then it lands
Holds-
on that note, and then it actually holds it for a really long time.
Yeah, and I was like,
and then
what is
later on in
weird?
the film, Steven does the same thing with the organ.
Yes,
with that
but
low
he
note.
doesn't just hold a chord.
Yeah.
Like he slams all his hands on it and is the most dissonant
Yeah.
chord.
right.
And it's just so nasty and gross. And then he looks up in the mirror of the organ and he sees the nails in the feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
And then he takes his hands off and his foot is on the pedal and it's just holding this one note. It's so ominous, so effective, dude. I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I love that part. I thought that just got me, dude.
Well,
I don't know. I just
and
love
it's
it so much.
interesting that once he has integrated with the parts of himself that he's been in denial about, that's when he shows compassion
Yeah.
to the people that he used to treat
Yes.
as lesser than.
Second class citizen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah, so
I was gonna bring up one thing. So when we were watching it, there's this scene where Steven's in bed and there's like this weird devil that like appears on his chest. And Court,
yeah.
you brought this up, and I have no idea where Court pulled this out of, but it must have been locked deep inside of your brain. But you were like, I think that's a painting, and I looked it up.
Yeah,
it
it
is.
is.
A
Oh, no, I
painting.
know the one you're talking about.
It's called The Nightmare.
Yes,
and
I know
here's
that
a
one.
picture of it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh.
For-
It's like
I mean,
sleep paralysis is what it made me think of.
yeah, later it was like interpreted as that, but it's basically a lady laying on a bed, and it looks just like what's in the movie. It's like this weird devil that's like laying on her
Gargoyle type
gargoyle,
thing. Right on
like
your
laying on her
chest.
chest,
Oh, it's
and it's
so
a painting
unsettling.
from this 1781. But anyway, I was looking it up, and like Freud had a painting of this in his office, like going back to dreams.
Oh, and
dreams.
the
and,
well, and Freud was
subconscious,
a
yeah.
huge influence on Jung. They ended
Yeah.
up having a
Well, I would
falling
say,
out.
I mean, and rightfully so, I think.
And I'm sure that they made this devil like this painting probably was like, oh, we're gonna make it look like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's that whole conversation. I don't know. This last Christmas, all that I asked for was like surrealist, like poetry books about like from surrealists, and it's just an art movement that I've really been diving into.
Cool.
And it's just something that just really resonates with me. And so I think because of that, all the themes that are talked about in this movie, I don't know. I think it crescendos perfectly with like what I was already interested in and already looking into. So maybe that's why I appreciate it even more as well.
Yeah.
There's a confirmation to it, but
So what's
I
the
was
connection
really
between
affected
this
by this
this
movie.
film and Zone of Interest?
So yeah,
How were you thinking about that?
there are a few different ways I thought I could see it being connected.
I'd say like the slow burn aspect
Definitely,
of
and
both
I think
of them.
well, I think when I first watched Zone of Interest, I was thinking of the approach that they took with Penda's Fen. With Penda's Fen, it is a written for play or a written for TV play, but the director said that he thought of it, which I don't know if I agree with this completely, but in some ways I do see how it works that way, where he thought in some ways of it as more of a made-for-TV movie. I think the dialogue is where the play roots of it show, but like some of the visual aspects where it's very much a fixed perspective are
Of what Steven's seeing.
yes of what Stevens or like even like we were talking about the organ scene, like the perfect framing of Jesus's feet in the mirror, stuff like that is very fixed perspective stuff that I think you could only do in a film medium. And I was thinking of how in Zone of Interest the panning shots or the way that they set everything up to where it was just everything living, and it was just these wide shots, and you would just watch things interact in the frame in a very organic way. It was more reminiscent of, a play. But it is the editing is kind of where I think that diverges. I think
I think that's why I liked Zone of Interest more was maybe the editing.
I mean, yeah, for me also I kind of perceive you liking movies with a bit more scale, I think. Maybe that's naive of me, but
I think the main thing you
I mean, I
struggled
like
with
Rope
was the
with Alfred
long-
Hitchcock, and
Yeah,
that's,
you're right,
that's
you're
a
right.
one-room
I felt like
story.
you struggled the most with the long monologues.
Yeah, I was just like, ugh.
I think
yeah.
you struggled with the amount of.
I guess I need to watch more
'cause I
plays because
we
I
watched
was
them
like
together.
losing interest in. I was like
gathered that
losing
much.
like
Yeah.
I wasn't even paying attention.
for me,
like, some
I
points
come
I wasn't
from
paying attention.
I come from a place where, like, theater is my background. That's the
That makes
stuff. I was a theater major for a while. My favorite plays are like Sam Beckett's like my favorite writer. Like I love stuff like that, with these long monologues that they have these twists and turns, and you're not even really sure where they're going sometimes. But you go back, and there's just so much more that I think you can take from it, and It's one of those things where, like I was saying, I want to memorize some of these things. Where it's like, even though I don't know everything about it, it's gonna, if I just let it sit with me and I think about it over and over, I'm gonna have different interpretations, you know, depending on different situations I find myself. That's the kind of stuff I really like.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it appealed to me.
I think there's a few ways that you can compare these movies. Like
Yeah.
at the beginning, he is basically this alt-right kid who is saying that he believes in the Aryan
Yep.
Christian family of England.
Yeah.
And also, like, you could bring in how it deals with the erasure of a culture, of a people, because the pagans are no more.
Yes.
And the only way that they live on is
Well, and even
as
the
they
image
live
that
on
they're-
in the people there. And
Or the image that they're painted as,
yeah,
which
that's
is
true.
which is in the negative. The
That's
image that
true.
they're painted of to the Christians.
Yeah.
It almost his journey reminded me too of the grandmother in Zone of Interest
Yeah.
too, but less. It obviously went less.
Right.
Didn't spend
into
as much
detail
time
about
on
it.
that. Yeah.
And then I think another
It
thing,
was more in just like the facial expressions
But
that you
it's
kind of
'cause-
saw that on the
It's
grandma.
because that was more of I guess like a larger scale study rather than a character study.
right.
So
And I felt like another thing was the things that people intentionally ignore in their lives was a big theme in both.
that's a good.
yeah.
How in Zone of Interest you have these people living on the edge of Auschwitz, basically living this idyllic life, pretending that there isn't this super horrific, ugly context in which they are living. And then you have Stephen, and also more broadly his community in England, where they are in denial of their own historical context, and he is in denial of his own nature. And
I mean, not even just the historical context of like current things that are going on.
Exactly,
He finds
yeah.
out about like his mother says something about like, oh, since he's not doing well in school, he's gonna end up on some factory line, and then it starts showing the people like of England just walking around, and it does it in a really interesting way where it's like from very far away, so it's like almost everyone in the frame is very compressed together, and then it cuts,
It freezes on.
and then it turns
image of
into
them.
like a very desaturated two-tone thing, and it's almost like very mechanical.
and I think
The
both
Machine of England, but yeah.
and I think both films are a very strong warning against insisting on enforcing your vision of purity on the world.
Yes.
And yeah, that's where I can draw comparisons.
There's. I want to end my thoughts.
Yeah.
I think on. I'm not going to quote it directly. I'm not going to get it right, but the poet. There's a part where he is talking with the. I mean, there's some things with the poet I very much don't like. I think he takes his ideas. He's a pretty kooky, nutty guy, but he has this one quote where he's talking with Stephen, and he's like, "Oh, look at me! I'm subverting you. Your father wouldn't like that." He was like, "Oh, I don't know." But before that, he has this long monologue where he says basically, there's something about the only hope for, and again, this is pretty sardonic, but the only hope for humanity is that when the concrete cities stretch from pole to pole, that there would be a weakness that is planted in the foundation of it that will lead to its demise or something like that. And I was like, that goes crazy. That was freaking hard. And I think that could, those connections could be drawn to Zone of Interest as well, as far as like, you know, people's people. I don't know, the horrors that people are capable of, especially when it comes to larger scale things. It feels like people are more mobilized by hate and fear than anything else. And so the only hope for the breaking down of those things is that, you know, they're inherently flawed, and people can realize that, and that will lead to the destruction of those powers. So, I don't know. It's an interesting idea. I very much mess with both of these movies. That's what I will say.
Any final thoughts from you, Cole?
Yeah, I liked Zone of Interest a lot. I liked some aspects of Penda's Fan. I don't think I'm gonna be rewatching it anytime soon, but
More
yeah,
for me.
More for you guys. But if you guys want, just go out and watch these two movies.
Yeah.
You can watch Zone of Interest is on HBO. That's how we watched it. And then
Penda's Fen is on
it's on
YouTube. And
Yeah.
I will say I recommend Penda's Fen if you like
If you like plays.
plays. I
Or
would
surreal.
And if you like long
straight
monologues.
plays, not just like musical. If you like straight plays, if you like Mamma Mia, this is not your movie.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be interesting. We rated the other. The
Oh,
other
we
film.
should
Let's
do
rate
that.
it. Let's hear everyone's ratings.
We should also say if we review it all at the same, if we
Like our
recommend it all
number,
at the same
or
time,
if we recommend it.
it's gonna be a big cacophony of disagreement, right?
Okay,
Right.
one, two, three.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would recommend this movie. And come on, Cole.
Cole
You
says
gotta-
no.
I'd
obviously.
recommend
I
it.
recommend
Yeah,
this
you can
movie,
watch
but
it.
I would definitely.
Cool.
Like, watch it and
I
see
feel
what
like
you
we just
think.
peer pressured you into saying.
Yeah. it's like-
You can. I was gonna say you can say no. That's what I was saying.
I know.
Whatever.
Okay,
fine.
so out of five, I would probably give this movie a 3.7.
For me
Oh,
personally,
3.7.
I mean, and I don't know. Maybe it's again because of my the way I currently view things and like the current things I'm going through in my life. But I would give this movie a 4.8. I think
Wow.
it's a very personal. It affected me in a personal way. So
Yeah,
maybe it'll change.
It
but
connected with you.
It did. What can I
That's
say?
pretty cool. I'm glad that it connected with you.
Okay, let's hear the brutal.
I mean, I gave it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
On Letterboxd.
Yeah.
And I feel like
So-
that it will be more of a divisive film in terms of who likes it and who doesn't. I think
And that's fine.
That's why I like it.
I think
love
on
a good
Letterboxd
divisive
the
movie.
average is somewhere.
It's
in
actually
the-
pretty high. It's actually 4 out of 5.
No, I would
Oh, I
say
thought it was somewhere in
when
the
I was
threes.
paging through.
No,
When I was
it's 4 out
paging-
of 5.
Yeah. When I
I'm
was
in the minority here. So.
I was looking through reviews and stuff, and it seemed like most people actually liked it quite a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I think most people that do end up watching it are pretty gay too, so maybe that has something to do with it.
One more thing before we close. I just thought it'd be fun to do this, talking about each of the film's titles and what they mean. So, Penda's Fen. It's actually that's not actually the name of the city, right? It's called Pinvin.
Yes,
I think-
Pinvin.
But Penda's Fen is a reference to the god Penda. Which,
Yeah.
well, actually, he's not a god. He's a king, right?
Yeah,
He was a king.
he's a pagan king.
Pagan king in early history of the UK, and then Fen just means like a marshland, right?
Yeah, Penda was the last pagan king of England.
No, but I mean Fen is like another word for like a
Oh, right,
marsh,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
So it's basically like Penda's
His
his land,
Yeah.
basically.
He's abode.
And then do you know what zone of interest means? There's actually a meaning behind that.
Oh, tell
Actually,
us.
yeah, but
It
elaborate.
is a meaning that comes. It's actually a term that the Nazis came up with. It basically means just the area outside of the concentration camps. They would come in and they would set up. They would set up the Nazi families around it, kind of push the locals out farther, so that locals wouldn't really know like what was going on, or like not. You know what I mean? So they called it zone of interest.
That's like the perfect thing to end this conversation
Yeah.
about both movies on. I think
Yeah.
that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you guys like this podcast, please like and share, subscribe. Please give us a review; those help. Rating the podcast helps a lot too. And thanks again to Foster for being on the podcast. Thanks for being on
it was
here.
great. You were a great first guest.
And
yeah, no,
also,
I'll be back in my box if you need me.
and also thanks to Foster for giving us our intro song. Foster's the one that wrote that.
I forgot I
Which
did
is
that.
super
And thank you for giving us permission to use it. So every time you hear our podcast, that's Foster.
You know, I'm getting royalties for this, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, definitely.
Just kidding. That's not what it's about.
It's not about the money. Anyway, we will. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time on another episode of the Mixtape Matinee. So we'll see you. Bye.
Toodaloo.
Bye. We'll be talking about music.
Add some reverb to that.